Still rocking after all these years.
This is the story of my rock and roll butler.
This is it, the show that started it all. Often imitated, but never equal. From San Francisco, USA, online since 2004. It's the one and only Rock and Roll Geek Show. With the original Rock and Roll Geek, Michael Butler.
Welcome to the Rock and Roll Geek Show. My name's Michael Butler. Thanks a lot for joining me. I really appreciate it. Today is Wednesday, January 18th, 2017, and it is 6:51 p.m. This is a special bonus episode. I'm going to be talking to somebody on the line named Chanty. Hi, Chanty.
Hey there.
She's a podcaster. She hosts my new favorite podcast, and it's called Muses and Stuff podcast. It is about groupies, and you know how I feel about groupies. I love talking. That goes hand in hand with rock and roll. So I thought it might be a good idea to have Chanty on my show and introduce you to a podcast that I like. How you doing, Chanty?
Oh, I'm doing so great, thank you. It's actually pronounced Shanty. It's
Shanty.
A soft A.
Oh, well, I'm from the South, so Shanty is how we say it. But it's okay. I'll call you Shanty.
Shanty, like peace.
Shanty. Is your real last name Savicky?
Savicky. So
Okay.
That's my mother's maiden name. So I use that as my my rock and roll online name.
Okay.
So in a way, yeah.
So Chanty does it. Here you go. Shanty does a podcast called Muses and Stuff podcast, and it is about groupies. How long have you been doing your podcast, Chanty?
I started this summer, so I started releasing episodes in September. So not too long.
And you've been
4 or 5 months.
You have been. You've been. I'll have to compliment you on the regularity of your podcast. Not many people will do a podcast on such a nice schedule as you. You do your show pretty much every week.
Every week, and try to get it out Wednesday, hump day, get everybody through the rest of their weeks. And it just requires a little bit of organization. And, like Gail Zappa said, you can still be rock and roll and have a nice cup of tea at the end of the day.
I don't know where I discovered the podcast. I think I was on the Facebook or something, and something came up. And anyway, somehow I discovered your podcast, and I listened while I was at work. And I listened to all the episodes, like in one day at work.
Yeah. Baby.
So I liked
That's
it.
what I like to hear.
Yeah. So I liked it, and I said, well, maybe people will listen to the Rock and Roll Geek Show, might like to hear about Shanty's podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate the effort that you're putting in, Michael.
I'm going to call you Chanty. I'm sorry, I can't tell.
Oh, I was in St. John's, Newfoundland once, and I was trying to tell them it's Shanty, it's soft, and they're like, honey, all our A's are hard.
Oh, they called you Chanty too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, I don't feel so bad then.
No.
Where's Newfoundland?
No, that's all right.
Where's Newfoundland? Geography's not my forte.
It's on the east coast of Canada.
Okay,
it's
you live in
the most east in
You live
Canada.
in Toronto?
I live in Toronto. Yeah, I'm originally from a small town in northern Ontario, but I somehow got out of there, and for the love of rock and roll, I got here, and I've been having a great time. But yeah, it's 10 p.m. Toronto time, a little bit past my bedtime, but the only thing that keeps me up past my bedtime is rock and roll, so.
Oh, well, I'm sorry that you have to be stuck with this thing then, because not much rock and roll in it, but okay. So, yeah, I played in Toronto. Was in a band that played in Toronto with Ice-T and Body Count. I don't remember where we played, but it was a big place.
A big place?
Yeah, I don't know what the name of the place was. It was a theater type place. You know who Ice-T is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in a band that opened up for him.
Sweet.
His band, and it was sold out, and we sold. Actually, the entire tour was sold out because I'm bragging here, but the entire tour was sold out because it was during that cop killer time, and we sold we were about to be dropped from our record label, and we would get backstage passes from our road manager, and we would all take them and sell them. And I remember selling a backstage pass to a girl for $50 in Toronto, walked her backstage and took the backstage pass off of her and sold it again to her friend. So I made $100 that night.
Nice. Yeah. Great idea. Well, I myself have never paid money for a backstage pass, but, I figured that you were in a band. I saw a picture of you and I saw that hair and I went, yeah, he was in a band, or he's in a band.
I'm too old, but I'm way older than you. First of all, your show's about groupies.
My show's about groupies.
What made you want to do a show about groupies?
Well, I came to realize that I myself am a groupie.
Oh, you are? Okay, I kind of figured that. So have you been with anybody? So by groupie, you mean you just like to hang out with bands, or do you mean you like to do other things with bands too?
Both A and B.
Okay, all right.
I just it all happened pretty naturally, and it's more of either you are or you aren't, and I always have been. And it wasn't until maybe when I was in university that I realized that I was, and then it wasn't until really doing this podcast that I started saying it with conviction and with without fear, because that's why it's called Muses and Stuff. I was maybe thinking, well, if I said Muses and Groupies, maybe people wouldn't check it out, or people are afraid and have been afraid of the word for a while, like it's a groupie, or it's a bad word. So I've only really just been feeling as it's a word of empowerment, and I know Pamela DeBar has been trying to, for years and years, take it back. So we're just kind of on the mission to join her, and then there's a lot of us out there, and it's still going on. So, and that's a thing too. It's a lot of people think groupies and they think of the past, or it's too hard today, or it's with technology or the security that it's just they just don't exist, but they absolutely do. And the people that know, they know.
I think everybody who goes to watch bands play or has liked me, I think everybody's probably a groupie a little bit. So it's nothing to really be ashamed of. I would probably call myself a groupie. I like to hang out. I like to. If I see it, if there's a band I like, I want to hang out and wait for them to come to the T-shirt and say, hey, that was a great show, man, or something like that, and
exactly. And that's what we were saying. There's different levels of groupie. If you're walking down the street and you're wearing a band T-shirt and you've been to a couple of their shows, you're a groupie. And if you go home with one of them, you're a groupie. And
so are your mom and dad still alive?
They are, yeah. And they are rock and roll as hell.
Do they know you do a groupie podcast?
They do, yeah, and they love it.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, my dad and my mom are very supportive. They've always been very supportive of. I was always very. I'm a good girl. I got good grades. I'm very responsible. But I've just always loved musicians. My brother always had a guitar in his hand. My first boyfriend was in my brother's band. I was just naturally drawn to boys and bands. And I went to a high school where it was like academic and sports. There was no music. So I didn't date a single person in high school because I didn't understand why until later. And I was like, not interested in those kinds of guys. And then once I got to university and I accidentally found myself in this really wonderful small town, but it had a really vibrant art and music scene, and you could just throw a rock and hit a musician. That's when things really started taking off, and I started having a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm sure. So you started hanging out with bands, or you started going to shows, and probably the guys in the band I don't really know what you look like, but I would imagine you're not ugly.
I'm pretty cute.
Well, there you go. So guys in the bands said, "Oh, who's that cute girl standing in the front row?" And then they naturally were drawn to you and probably your friends too, because I know you hang out with these girls. You call them the dolls, or they're all groupies too, right?
Yep.
Do you guys ever go
Groupies, muses, yeah, some of them are musicians themselves, writers, creative artists.
Do you guys ever all go to shows and decide to, and like try to pick up the bands?
Yes.
Oh, you do? Okay. So
yeah.
Have you been with anybody that's famous?
Yes.
You have. Who was that person?
Well, the thing is, the one thing that the dolls and I have I've had a conversation about is whether or not we want to disclose ourselves. So we're really comfortable with telling the stories of Pamela Des Barres and B.B. Buell and Lori Lightning because those stories have already been told. We kind of decided in order to respect the artists now and not to kind of come off as bragging or anything like that, we decided not to name our own names until maybe a few years on when we write our own memoirs.
So do these guys have wives and stuff?
I've been with one guy who has a wife, but they're in an open marriage, and one who I see when he comes to town has a girlfriend, but he's in an open relationship. So at this point in my life, in my career where I am, my groupie career, I'll only be with somebody if their relationship is open. Okay. In my younger days, in my late teen, early 20s, that was a bit of a different story. I didn't really care as long as I got the guy that I wanted to get. I didn't care about a girlfriend. I've changed I'm more mindful of that now these days.
So now these guys, who told you they were in the open relationship? The wife and girlfriend, or the husband?
They did.
Yeah, the guy told you he was in an open relationship.
The guy tells me, yeah.
You think he was telling the truth?
About the open relationship?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Did you meet the wife and girlfriend?
The one girlfriend, I heard that she knew about me and had asked a couple of questions about me, but I never met her. And then the wife, no. I don't really... if anything, I'd want to be friends with her.
I'm just wondering if the guy says I'm in an open relationship because it's a lot easier to be with a girl, or he figures that the girl would be a lot more open to it if he tells her that he's in an open relationship. When in reality he's not really in an open relationship. He's just saying that. So
definitely. It's in those times that I just have to trust my instincts. Plus, I had known this guy for going on 8 years, and his band would come into town, and I really admired him as a musician and as an artist, and just as an individual. But he'd always leave after a drink, after a set, and he'd go back to his hotel and email his wife. So I respected him for that over the years. And so then when I got the message, hey, do you want to go up for some drinks? I went, something's up here. Something's changed in the relationship. And he thought about me, and I was flattered. And so we started up that way. So that's why I believed him, is because I had known him for that many years and I had known him to be loyal. And so if they wanted to open it up after those years, then I'm happy to.
Now, was he in an American?
Happy to help.
Was he in an American band or a Canadian band or a European band?
Canadian.
Okay. Was he in Rush?
No.
Helix.
Yes.
Oh, somebody in Helix? There you go. Very nice. So he was like old enough to be your grandfather, probably.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm sorry, Michael. I don't know who Helix is. Actually, okay. I was surprised.
I'm just naming off Canadian bands.
I was surprised that I didn't know about your podcast, because I love rock and roll. I love Geeks. And then I read the description for your podcast. So it was for fans of Aerosmith, Cheap Trick, Metallica, and AC/DC, and I went, that's why I haven't heard of his podcast. Did I say
Metallica?
That's what it says.
I probably just put it in there so that people do searches for those bands, but I do like Aerosmith, Cheap Trick, and AC/DC. So that's classic rock to you, and you like more. I'm guessing that you like more indie rock type bands.
Only Steely Dan. No, I like. I like. I mean, I guess for the classics, like I love Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. That's that's my main band.
Was it Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers? No,
I wish. I'm still down on my knees every night praying to the holiest that is holy, that just maybe one day.
Now, any of the Heartbreakers?
Thomas Earl Petty. Yeah, I'd take any of the Heartbreakers.
Any of them. Even Ben
Any of them. Ben Mont?
Even is the drummer Ben Mont? No, that's the keyboard player.
No, keyboardist.
The drummer is...
the drummer's the newest guy, right?
They don't have that old guy anymore. That guy was a great drummer.
He was. Is it Stan Lynch?
Yeah, Stan Lynch was a great drummer.
He was a great drummer. No, they've got somebody else now. So probably, actually, no. Probably not the drummer now, but Stan Lynch, hell yeah. I follow Ben Mont on Instagram, but he's always posting pictures of his wife.
And you would be with Mike Campbell, too, because Mike Campbell's a great guitar player.
Oh, yeah, he's sweet.
Yeah. Do you know those guys?
Do I?
Yeah.
Not yet, baby. We're only in episode 16. I'm building momentum, though.
I'm trying to think of other bands that are from Canada. Was it somebody in Anvil?
No.
Okay. You know who Anvil is?
No.
They're from Canada, too. They're like a bad metal band.
I thought, I didn't know that Rush had groupies. I thought that they just hung out in their hotel room watching the news after shows.
That was the first Canadian band I could think of. I don't know a lot of Canadian bands. Triumph, are they from Canada? As you can see, I'm old, and I only know old bands.
Yeah, so this is working out nicely for me because I don't want to give away my secrets. I want to get laid again, and if I start naming names, I feel like the guys are going to get scared
Sebastian
off.
Bach?
Pardon?
Sebastian Bach.
Ooh.
He's from Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, you like him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, no, but in terms of I know you asked me about going out with my girlfriends. I started reading Roxana Shirazi's book at your recommendation.
Oh yeah, that's a crazy book. That is a crazy book.
Holy moly, it is so fucking good.
She names names. I had her on my show too. She names names. She goes. She goes into detailed descriptions about the sexual acts. She goes everything. How far are you into the book?
Halfway.
All right, so you got through all the child molestation and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's crazy.
Yeah, I did.
She's out of her mind. She's on Facebook. She'll come on your show.
Oh, great.
You ever think of having?
I can't wait.
You ever think of having you ever think of having groupies on the show, like famous groupies, and interviewing them?
All the time.
Why don't you?
Yeah, all the time. I want to, definitely. I'm planning a road trip this summer to do it.
To see Pamela Des Barres?
To go see, I would like to finish with Pamela because I see her when she comes to town for her writing workshops, and we communicate online quite often. And I got her blessing for the podcast, and I said, can I use your books as references, research, things like that. And then as the podcast has been developing, I've been contacting, connecting, Instagramming, Facebooking with these women, but it's been, I'm taking the same approach with the podcast as I take with, say, meeting bands or meeting musicians, is I put out a certain amount, but I don't like to force things. I don't like to push and beat my way through things. I like to have an intention. I like to have these kinds of goals, and I like to put myself out there in certain ways, but then I like it to come back to me as well. So almost more of just a relaxed way of doing things, a natural way. So I didn't, in terms of meeting all of these actual women, Michelle Overman and Lori Lightning and Miss Mercy.
Now, who's Lori Lightning? These are all women who are in Pamela's book, right?
Mm-hmm,
who's Laura Lightning? Who was she with?
David Bowie. She lost her virginity to David Bowie.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And she was the one when Pamela was waiting for Jimmy to pull up in the limo outside of
the Hyatt.
Outside of the Hyatt house. It was Lori Lightning who Jimmy Page essentially kidnapped and threw into the limo that night, leaving Pamela out on the street, burned. But Pamela had done the same thing to Catherine James. Pamela had taken Catherine James from Jimmy Page, but they all ended up laughing about it eventually, But yes, I would like to have these women on the show, but I'm just slowly building up to it, making these connections. And then hopefully this summer, I'm going to take a road trip and hit all of the different places of the women who agree to come on the podcast and just have a good time, and hopefully end up in LA with Pamela and have her give me a tour of Laurel Canyon herself, because I've always wanted to go.
So you're kind of also a groupie of groupies.
I never even really thought of it that way. Hell yeah, I am. I totally am. Yep. So
your friends are in like local bands around there, the guys? Because I've heard you have guys on your show that were in bands.
Yes, yeah. So a lot of local bands, yep. And then I've got some friends kind of across the country. So from Toronto to Halifax to St. John's, Newfoundland, and then Montreal.
And who is your favorite band besides Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers? What's your favorite Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers album?
It's kind of sound kind of weird, but I've really been into "You're Gonna Get It" lately.
Okay.
But damn the Torpedoes.
What is your favorite song on "You're Gonna Get It"?
You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it.
The title song, yeah. Okay.
What's that?
Your title song is your favorite.
Maybe.
Yeah, I saw Tom Petty on that tour open up for Patti Smith Group.
Sweet.
It was when Patti Smith had Easter, so that was probably 78, 77, something like that. So it was 97 cents. That's how old I am. What do you think of that?
Sexy.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
Am I making you blush?
No, I know you're being bullshitting, but okay. So I was bragging that I've probably seen everybody. So what is your next favorite band besides Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers? I'm trying to get a feel for what kind of music that you really like.
What kind of music that I really like. So there's this band out of Moncton, New Brunswick, and they're called Les Hay Babies. Okay. And it's a trio. It's these three women who live in Moncton. So again, that's East Coast. And they sing in French and English in this language called Chiaki, which is a mix between French and English.
Is that a Canadian
another Canadian
language?
band that I really like is Islands. I can't even believe that I didn't prepare for this question of what songs I like the best. There's this fantastic band out of Hamilton called the Dirty Nil.
I don't know any of those bands.
I mean, that's the thing, though, with Canada. It's enormous. Uh-huh. And a lot of these bands, so say like the Dirty Nil, for example, who are doing almost as good as you possibly can in Canada, people don't know about them because there's so many bands kind of doing their thing. My brothers and I are going to go see the Sam Roberts Band on Friday. You got to know them.
No, I don't know Sam Roberts.
Sam Roberts?
Is that
They're
the guy
Canadiana.
who was on?
Like they are.
The guy's name is Sam Roberts?
His name is Sam Roberts, and then it's the Sam Roberts Band.
He's not the guy who was on Star Search.
No, he wouldn't have been.
I have no idea who Sam Roberts. Do you like Cheap Trick at all? Have you ever heard of them?
Of course I've heard of them, but I can't say I've really listened to them.
Huh? Have you ever heard of Aerosmith?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we used to listen to Aerosmith a lot when I was younger, growing up.
Okay, I see. Now I'm a groupie for Joe Perry and Steven Tyler both. I wouldn't have sex with them, but I would like to hang out and.
Yeah, Joe Perry's pretty cute. Yeah, I would have done Steven Tyler.
Oh, really? You wouldn't have done.
Yeah.
What about Brad Whitford? Would you have done him?
Is he in that band?
Yeah, yeah, he's the other guitar player.
Yeah, I don't know.
What about AC/DC? You like them?
No, I don't.
Really?
No, I feel like there's something about AC/DC that feels offensive to me.
Huh.
I don't know what it is. It just doesn't make sense to my brain.
Huh. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I really like the Darcys. I really like this band called the Famines.
What about
that's based out of Montreal? They're a two-piece based in Montreal.
The Darkness? Have you ever heard them?
Is that I Believe in a Thing Called Love?
Yes. Yes.
Do they have anything else besides that one song?
Oh my! Yes, they do. They're the greatest band going right now. But yes, they do.
Still, right now?
Yes, their last album is better than that album.
Oh, you know who I really, really like is Father John Misty.
I heard you talking about them on your podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know who that. I've never heard their music.
He's essentially okay. So Josh Tillman used to be the drummer of Fleet Foxes.
I've heard of Fleet Foxes, but I've never heard them.
Until he did a bunch of drugs, climbed a mountain, took off all his clothes, and decided to go solo.
Okay.
Okay, so you wouldn't know this band either, but another Canadian band. Well, no, maybe you would know them. Yukon Blonde?
Nope.
Shit. Yeah,
what about American bands? You like any American bands?
So that's the thing. It's probably the two biggest musicians or bands in Canada right now then are Drake and Justin Bieber.
Oh, you like them?
No, I don't. So that's the thing is the two maybe most well-known Canadian names in music right now, Drake and Justin Bieber. I have absolutely no interest in going to their concerts and seeking them out and trying to fuck them or have a relationship or have a friendship or anything. So you kind of go, where your interests are, where the music is, and in Toronto, that's not those clowns.
Do you like any other American bands besides Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers?
That's a good question. I really like this band based out of Austin, Texas, called the Bright Light Social Hour.
Nope.
What are some big bands in the U.S. right now? Oh, you know who's a really, really great Canadian musician is Mac DeMarco.
Never heard of him.
Oh, I'll send you some of his stuff. It's
Let's see. I'm going to name off what I had on my top 16. And I bet you've heard of none of them.
Hey, I've heard of David Bowie.
He was not in my top 16 because he didn't make his album. Black Star did not make my top 16. Yeah. Barely missed it.
Yeah.
What about you don't know any of these bands that were in my top. What about Ian Hunter? Do you like Ian Hunter?
I love Ian Hunter.
Okay, he's got a new album out that's really good. Was he? He wasn't. No, he's not one of the guys that you're with. Ian Hunter was with,
not yet.
Ian Hunter. I mean, Mick Ronson.
Anything's possible, right?
Mick Ronson was in Ian Hunter's band. Did you know that?
No.
Do you know who Mick Ronson is?
I do.
Okay. Yes, Mick Ronson, when he left David Bowie, he went solo for a while, but then he pretty much played with Ian Hunter probably until he died, or not. Yeah, pretty much until he died, I think.
He was always wearing those tight gold suits, right?
Who, Mick Ronson or Ian
Hunter?
Yeah, I don't.
Was that him? Sometimes he dressed like a cowboy, maybe.
You're talking about Ian Hunter.
Whoops. Yeah, but I mean, just because I don't know all of these bands that you're listing off, it doesn't make me less of a groupie, right?
I don't know any of the bands.
Doesn't make me less of a rock and roll geek, right?
No, it doesn't.
Things have certainly changed now. I mean, I was sitting this summer. I was sitting with a band that if you were to ask anybody in Canada, do you know who this band is? They'd say, yeah, definitely, and they probably would even like them. I was sitting with them, and at the end of the night, one of the guys in the band said, okay, so add me to Facebook. I mean, that would have never happened, and it's just weird that now
he needs a Facebook.
He told me to add him to Facebook.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm just it's just that's how much things have changed, and it is kind of a weird thing being a groupie in this day and age.
I would imagine it's easier because you can get on the guy's Facebook page and send him an instant message and say, "Hey, you guys were great last night. If you're ever in town and need a place to crash, hook me up or give me a call."
Yeah, that's true. I guess I could do that.
I don't think you probably need to, but
I like it to happen naturally.
Now, when a guy in a band goes, "Hey, I need a Facebook," does that make you? Does you ever think smooth, nice opening line or something, or do you like that?
What does that even mean? I need a Facebook.
I don't know. You told me you said that. I need a Facebook.
Oh, no, you said add me to Facebook.
Oh, add me
like
to
add
Facebook.
me.
Okay.
Like it was towards the end of the night and he
okay.
had to go and his band members were all leaving and he had to catch a ride. I don't know, whatever. And
I got to go,
like,
babe.
So
add me.
Yeah.
I got to go, babe. Add me to Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
romantic,
right.
right?
Yeah, there you go. I would have said, thank God I didn't go home with that jerk.
Yeah.
You did say that. Okay.
I
Good,
did say
good.
that.
Glad to hear that.
Add me to Facebook. But the interactions is kind of the same thing. So if somebody is going to come home or if somebody is going to, after a show, then it is that that was a great show. That was a great show tonight. And then you just have a nice little conversation, and then maybe you go out for a drink afterwards.
So you walk up to you walk over to the merch booth, and you say, "Hi, that was a great show."
Yeah, sometimes.
What are you
or
guys
if
doing
it's
later?
the opening band, or there's kind of standing around, maybe we'll make a little bit of eye contact. Maybe they'll come up and say hi to me. I was at that show, that band that I was telling you about, the one from the States, Bright Light Social Hour. They were opening, and they had a band with them that was in Toronto for the first time. So I was there to see the opening band, but the first band ended up being fantastic. They were from Florida and they live in LA now. And so I think that they were pretty jazzed to be in Toronto. What's that?
Were they called Limp Bizkit?
No.
Leonard Skinnerd?
No. It does start with an S though. Yes.
Sum 41?
No, they're Canadian, actually.
Oh, there you go. See?
No, I had no interest in Sum 41. Okay. No, they're a band called Swim. So just all capitals. Swim, SWIMM.
All capitals?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they opened for Bright Light Social Hour, and they were great. And then I noticed when they came, when it was Bright Light Social Hour's time to play, Swim came down and they were dancing, and I could definitely see a couple of the girls that went up to them right away. And my friend and I were there, and we were just dancing, having fun, watching the band. And they came up to us and said, "This is our first night in Toronto. Looks like you probably know where the hippest spots are.
You girls look really cool.
Yeah,
more cool than these girls over here. Where's the cool places to go?"
Yeah, but I think it was because we weren't paying any attention to them, and maybe that's what I don't know. Okay. So, we brought them out, showed them a good night in Toronto.
And showed them a good night.
And I think they'll probably want to come back.
Yeah.
But
did they exchange phone numbers? Or
yeah, that was phone numbers. That wasn't Facebook. That was real phone numbers.
Oh, okay. And was there any pictures exchanged, if you get my drift?
Oh, no.
No, okay.
You know what the interesting thing is? I was thinking the other day about pictures, though. There's this bar in Toronto that is notorious in the music scene for being the after hours spot to go, the after party. And what they do is they keep, and I have to be careful about what I say here because we got to make sure that it stays. So they keep the bar open, but it's closed, and everybody goes to the back. And then it just turns into this all night, because there's a piano in the back, sing along with whatever headlining band was in town that night. Everybody sort of gathers there. And there was one point where, because all of the doors were locked, they were smoking in the bathroom, and they were calling it smoking in the boys' room. So I don't know how.
Hold on a second. The band that made that song up, they're from Canada, aren't they? Are they? Brownsville Station? Or I think they might be from Canada.
I don't know. We'd have to do a quick Google search, which I'm not going to do.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt. I'll try to impress you with my musical knowledge.
Yeah, well, it's like half musical knowledge. Like, I'm pretty sure they're from Canada, but I'm not.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Exactly.
So I found myself, I was like, what are you guys talking? What is this room? So I ended up in the boys' room, and that's what it was. It was just a bunch of these dudes smoking in this tiny bathroom, and it was hilarious. And
Smoking
I had a
pot?
beautiful camera in my purse, but I wish I would have taken it out and I would have been able to take a photograph of this moment of these guys packed into this room. But I feel like these days with photos and with taking pictures and privacy and things like that, that if I would have put a camera in their face, they might have been like, oh, well, is this going to go on Facebook? What if the bar gets in trouble? And what if? Whereas if this would have been, 1970, whatever, they would have loved to have their photo taken.
Yeah, it was way cooler back in the 70s. I will tell you that.
It was what?
It was way cooler back in the 70s.
In general?
Well, hanging out with bands and being in the music scene and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like we get to have that a little bit. And as much as possible. But there's little things like that I find take a little bit of the magic out of it. And that's where the social media stuff comes into play.
Back then, when I was a kid, the bands were like superheroes because the only way you could find out about the bands was opening Cream magazine and Circus magazine.
Yeah.
And so the bands were like gods.
Yeah.
So were you the only girl in the bathroom with the band with all the guys?
Yeah.
Really? Nobody tried anything with you?
No, it was too smoky.
What were
I
they
didn't
smoking?
stay in there.
Cigarettes?
They were
Why'd they have to go in the bathroom to smoke cigarettes?
It beats me.
Huh? Doesn't that seem weird?
Yeah, they're a weird bunch, though.
Hey, dudes, let's all go in the bathroom and smoke cigarettes. All right.
Well, that's why I had to go check it out for myself.
Right,
and it's because nobody was going in and out of the doors because it was past 3 a.m. And
so they couldn't go outside to
So
smoke.
they couldn't go
had to
outside.
right,
although there was
sense.
a roof, but they were too fucking lazy to go up to the roof. So they
And what
they hit
band
up the
was
bathroom.
that? What band was that? What band was that?
Oh, I feel like I can't say.
Oh, okay. So one of the bands. So you went home with one of the guys afterwards.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay. Well, good for him. Or you. Good for you, I mean.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, he's one of them that I see when he comes to town often.
And they're from where? Where were they from?
They're all from Canada. So the main band. So this was for the Turf Festival. So this festival happened downtown Toronto, the Toronto Urban Roots and Folk Festival. Although there was no really urban root folk, but
was it the Guess Who?
Some of them were from Halifax.
Was it Nickelback?
Those guys, no. Those
was
guys
it Loverboy?
I wouldn't fuck anybody in Nickelback if somebody paid me like $1 million.
Was
I'm
it?
Like, nah, thanks.
Was it April Wine?
Yeah.
It was? Okay.
No.
All right. Was it the New Pornographers?
No.
I'm just naming off Canadian bands. Steppenwolf.
Yeah, I know.
Simple Plan. Our Lady Peace. Triumph.
You're getting warmer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Our Lady Peace getting warmer or Simple Plan?
I'd say more Our Lady Peace getting warmer.
So Our Lady Peace.
Like
was
they probably like.
Was it Stone Temple Pilots?
Together and.
Stone Temple Pilots.
No, they were all Canadian. These bands.
Death from Above, 1979.
Yeah.
That's who it was?
No.
Theory of a Dead Man.
I'll tell you after the microphones are off.
Cowboy Junkies.
Who's that?
I don't know. I'm just looking.
I don't want to be with any junkies.
I have a list of Canadian bands here I pulled up on the internet, so I'm just naming bands. Mahogany Rush. You ever hear of Mahogany Rush?
Like Rush's side project?
No, that was this guy named Frank Marino. Actually, he was a guitar. He was a Jimi Hendrix clone, but he was a white guy.
Well, he's probably no good.
Was it Max Webster?
No.
Steelheart?
Yes.
Was Crash Test Dummies?
Is that the?
Yes.
Is that band?
Yes. All right. Well, enough of that. So, all right. So you went home with one of them. Well, good for him.
Yeah, but he's sort of like one of my regulars.
Oh, one of your regulars. Okay.
One of my regulars. So I was at.
Hence that you followed him in the bathroom. Said, "Hey, come on, babe, we're going to the bathroom to smoke a cigarette."
Actually, that is the first. That is how we got together the first time. I followed him into a bathroom.
Oh, that was the first time you followed him to smoke in the bathroom?
No, this was at a different venue. And I had my eye on him for a little while, but I knew he had a girlfriend, so I didn't go there. But then I heard that he didn't have a girlfriend anymore, so I saw him walk to the backstage area, and so I just followed him. Then I saw that he went to the bathroom. I was like, "Oh, why is he walking so quickly?"
You walked right into the bathroom with him?
So I just walked into the bathroom with him, shut the door, locked it.
And then what happened?
Then the rest is history.
Ensued.
I don't know, a couple of years later.
Very nice. So it happened in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Well, then you are definitely a groupie. Well, congratulations. That's very nice.
Thank you.
Kudos.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole bunch of elements to being a groupie, right? There's the sexual element. There's the friendship element.
And he continued to see you after that. And he continued to see you after that. So.
Yeah. We love each other. There is a love there.
Was it Tokyo Police Club?
I wish.
Oh, okay. All right. Metric.
But yeah, it's groupies are they're not just they're not just girls that follow the band into bathrooms. They're spiritual teachers, you know? They counsel and they awaken the spiritual gifts inside of these gods. So I'm happy to be able to do that as well. And that's it. I know that I provide comfort and counsel and make him feel at home when he's not at home. But I was out to brunch with a friend of mine, and she's getting married in I'm a bad friend. I don't remember. She's getting married in a few months, and she said, "So should I give you a +1?" And I was like, "Well, if you're going to give me a +1, you might as well give me a +5.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm taking you don't have other than the guys that you in bands that come to town, do you have a boyfriend in town? You have a steady boyfriend?
No.
Okay. He probably would not like if you had a steady boyfriend. Or are you looking for a steady boyfriend?
I'd be open to it, but I'm also very much, I appreciate everything that I have, and I don't focus on things that I don't have.
Because you would probably have to retire.
I would have to. I've already been retired, and that's the joke that I'm trying to. I mean, Penny Lane says it in Almost Famous, and I don't think anybody really gets it when she says. It's kind of an inside joke when she says, "I'm retired, I'm tired," and that's it. I've been retired. And when I went to that show to go see Bright Light Social Hour, that's why I wasn't all over all of the bands, because I was retired. I was done. And then sure enough, they came to us and said,
pulled you back in.
Where are we going tonight? And then I was back in. And here I am with a podcast about groupies. And I'm glad that I'm back in because it's fun. It's joyful. That's what the whole thing is about. It's about having a free spirit. It's about loving people. It's about being around some of the most creative people, about, geniuses, having these kind of next level conversations that I want to be having that I'm not really finding with anybody else who isn't
in a band.
In a sweet rock and roll band.
Yeah, there you go. So you have good conversations with the guys in the bands.
Yep.
How old are you? You mind saying how or about generally how old you are?
No, not at all. I'm going to be 29.
Oh, you're a kid. You're a kid.
Next week.
Oh, you're too young to be with a guy or have a steady boyfriend anyway. You're still a kid.
January 25th is my birthday.
You've never heard. No wonder you've never heard.
And I'm going to go to England this summer, and I don't want to go there with a boyfriend.
Oh, really? So what bands are you looking for when you go to England?
I don't know. I might go try and track down Pete Doherty.
His name is Pete Doherty.
Oh, fuck. Well, good thing I know that before I go and meet him.
Chanty.
Chanty fucked up.
Yeah, okay. Pete Doherty. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's not Pete Doherty. I think it's Pete Doherty. What's
I thought he pronounces it Doherty.
Oh, maybe so. Oh,
with his
what do
cute
I
little
know?
English
What
accent.
do I know? Are they still around?
The Libertines?
Yeah.
I think they've been playing a few shows in the last couple of years. I think that they do from time to time. I don't think he's playing with Baby Shambles anymore, but I don't think he can really leave the UK.
So, what other than Pamela Des Barres, who is your favorite groupie that you would of the past, of the glory? I guess you say of the glory days.
Yeah. There's a few of them that I like for a few different reasons. I think some of the funniest groupies are Miss Mercy, who was one of the GTOs. Some of the shit that she posts on Facebook is hilarious.
Have you ever heard that GTO's album?
Permanent Damage?
Yeah, whatever one that they put out.
Yeah, it's Permanent Damage. Yeah.
You've heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had Pamela Des Barres on the show. The whole interview, all I asked her about was the GTOs.
Yeah, she's great. She's funny too. She's really funny. She's like, she doesn't take any shit, because you see her back, doing interviews in the 60s and 70s, and she's so sweet and she's so baby doll. And that she said something about like, I just like English musicians. I don't know. They just have more charm. They just have more class. And but then now it's almost like she's been kind of toughened over the years and she's had to have a thick skin, but she still is so sweet and so kind, and she's so fucking smart and she's so funny, but she doesn't take any shit. And I like that about her. She's like our queen mother. We bow down to her.
We being all of you and all
the
of
dolls,
you,
yeah.
The dolls. Who all is in the dolls?
There is a bunch of us. So we're an army. There's Miss P's Toronto dolls. So there's some of us in LA. There's some of us in Austin, London, England. Yeah. So I think now what's really happening is the dolls in Toronto are really becoming like bigger and stronger, and I have a few more of the dolls coming on to the show. So Lynx O'Leary is one of my oh God, no, I'm not going to say one of my favorite dolls because I'm going to get in shit, but she's such a great storyteller. And some of the stories she has sat down and told me.
She's the one that came on about Miriam Faithfull.
Yeah. If you started naming names like for her, like you kind of did with me, you'd be getting a lot more yeses from some of the other dolls.
I can see why I had no idea you were only 28. I mean, I'm surprised you even know who David Bowie is at 28.
I'll take that as a compliment. Well, so the thing is when I grew up I grew up in a pretty musical family, even though, we're super Northern Ontario. My parents loved music. My mom loved the Talking Heads, and my dad, my dad did love Rush. But
how old are your parents?
My dad's 57 and my mom's 58. Or my dad's 58, my mom's 59.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. So we would play a game. My dad, my brother, and I.
They grew up in the 70s. I bet you they know who Cheap Trick is.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, they went to a lot of concerts. They smoked a lot of grass. My dad did a lot of psychedelics. He always loves it. Yeah, he talked a lot about all the hash he smoked and stuff. It was great. Right. But the songs would come on the radio, and my dad and my brother and I would have a competition. So name the song and then name the artist, and then bonus points, and those points didn't mean anything if you could name the producer or if you could name the year that it came out. So I started having an interest in rock and roll history since I was young, and I really liked the Foo Fighters growing up. So there's a band that you would know. I've been to the Foo Fighters concert, and
I can't say that I'm a fan, but I know who they are.
Yeah, I liked definitely first 4 albums for sure, and and then from having a musical family, musical brother who was my own personal jukebox. That's what I looked for, and then and then I moved to Peterborough, and all of a sudden, Peterborough is this small music town outside of Toronto, and all of a sudden I was around all of these bands, and not only were they playing music, but they were talented. And there was one band in Peterborough. I was thinking about it. 6 members. I dated 4 of them, and then the other 2 tried, but I said no.
And what band is that? Is that Gagner?
Oh no, I was never with anybody in Gagner. That was strictly friendship, and still is to this day. That band was called Tarantula. They're gonna love the shout out.
Oh, Tarantula.
tarantula, but the U has an umlaut, so it makes it an ooh.
No, okay. And then that makes them look cooler because they're. You ever hear of Motorhead?
Yeah.
All right, the umlaut. That's the only reason I said that. All right, not impressed, huh?
Oh no, my mind just went somewhere else. I just thought of this metal band that that you would know.
I don't know. I'm not a metal fan. To be surprise, you may find it a surprise, but I'm not a big metal fan.
Okay.
I'm more of just a regular rock and roll fan.
Okay. Have you ever heard of the band Cauldron?
Cauldron? I've heard the name, but it sounds like a metal name.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No.
All right.
Nope. I couldn't even tell you one King Diamond song. What do you think of that?
Well, I don't think you're as geeky as you say that you are.
I know a lot about regular rock and roll, good rock and roll. I know everything you want to know about David Bowie.
Yeah.
Authority on
hey,
David
you didn't
Bowie.
mention that Hunky Dory. It wasn't on your favorite.
It's not in my top. It's not my favorite.
It's not
David
It's
Bowie
not in your
album.
top.
It's not in my top 5 David Bowie. Although I do like Hunky Dory, but it's not top to bottom a great album.
Well, this interview is over.
Yeah, I know it's probably your favorite.
I love that one. I love it.
It has good songs on it, but every single song is not a great song. Diamond Dogs is the best. Diamond Dogs is the best album because top to bottom is a great album.
Yeah, I agree.
So is the one everybody's favorite is Ziggy Stardust, but it's not my favorite.
Yeah. There's the band, the Dirty Nil that I was telling you about. They're, I think, maybe doing some headlining stuff in Australia right now. And it was nice. I got to catch them when they were. I love when that happens, when I get to catch like a band that I go, ooh, I know that they're going to be big and really mean it, because
so they're
you
getting
can say
ready
that
to be huge because they went to Australia, so you think they're going to be huge soon.
They went to Australia. They did stuff with. They were on Warped Tour. They're playing music for a living. They're selling out shows and they're playing to massive crowds. And in terms of a small band, in terms of a band from a small town outside of Toronto, that's living the rock star dream for 2017. Well, I mean, what else? Yeah, because you're not going to be Drake and you're not going to be Justin Bieber. I don't know. Unless you're the next Drake or Justin Bieber. But
was it Danko Jones?
Pardon me?
I'm just naming off Canadian bands. I'm still trying to guess who the famous bands that you went to the bathroom with.
I told you that. I'll tell you later.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm trying to make it. I'm trying to guess on the show for entertainment purposes.
Yeah. No, I've made a no kiss and tell policy.
Was it?
Does that make me no? You know what? I'm not gonna self-doubt here. I know and they know. So
I'm just trying to be funny.
But what I was gonna say is this Dirty Nil band. I had 3 of them up in my room when I lived above the bar that they were playing at. For a couple of months, I was living there.
How convenient for you. How about that? Now you lived. That's a pretty good place for a groupie to live, is right upstairs from the bar.
Yeah. It was because I couldn't stand the house that I was living in before that. All of my girlfriends had moved provinces, essentially, and I stayed back to do a degree after my undergraduate degree. So I was kind of left there by myself, groupie friendless, and I was living in this house with a bunch of weirdos, and one of their cats took a dump in my apple crisp, and I was like, that's it, I'm out of here.
Nice. Okay.
So I'm one of my best friends is the guy that owns the Spill in Peterborough, and he let me stay upstairs for a few months, but so I had the back room above the bar, and then the bands would stay in the front room. So if I walked out on any given day, there would be
the bands. When the bands played there, they stayed in.
They got to stay upstairs. Yeah.
Oh, very nice for you.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
So what was the first letter of that band's name that you went to the bathroom with? You have to think about that.
Well, I feel like it's going to give it away.
No, trust me, I won't know. I won't know who it is.
Yeah, but what if everybody else knows?
What if I guess?
What if my friends that are listening, they're on to
trust me, your friends aren't going to listen to this podcast. Well, they might listen. They might listen for you, but 5 minutes after they hear the idiot host, they're going to tune out. So.
All right, H.
Okay. Let me think about that now. Let's see. H.
Are you googling bands?
It was not Hot Heat.
It
wasn't Hot Heat. I know those guys. It was Hot Heat, huh?
It was.
Really? No, it was not.
What episode did you do with Roxana?
That was a long time ago. I'll probably have to repost that because I used to host my episodes on this podcast company's website, and they went out of business, and all the files got lost. So I have to repost some of these old interviews. Oh
yeah, I would love that, especially the ones with. I'd love to hear what BB had to say. I feel like she might be a more difficult groupie to get a hold of.
BB Buell? No, she loves to talk about it. She loves to talk about herself. I've had her on the show like 4 times.
Oh, okay, great.
I'm kind of friends with BB Buell, or a little bit. She's a friend of the family, let's say that. My wife is good friends with her. Anyway, yeah, we did a track by track of her last album. I think we did a track by track of the album before that, and yeah, I've talked to her like 4 times. She'll come on your show, no problem. She loves to talk about herself.
Oh, fantastic. Good. And she should.
Was it Hey Rosetta? It was Hey Rosetta, huh? I guessed it.
This damn technology.
Huh. All right. Well, there you go. She went to the bathroom with Hey Rosetta. And friends, like me, you're probably saying, who the hell is Hey Rosetta? That's right. All right. So now when you decide to start, I want to talk about your podcast a little bit. I've busted your balls enough.
Yeah.
I hope you have a good sense of humor about it.
You busted my groupie balls.
I hope you have a good enough sense of humor and don't hate my guts now after I've...
I don't hate your guts.
Okay, good.
I like you, Michael.
Dolls, I came on this podcast. Oh my God, that guy was an asshole.
He kept trying to...
All he kept doing was rattling off bands.
Tell him all my secrets when I've been trying so hard to keep it a secret.
I know, Chanty.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of feel like if I were to go, especially like on my own podcast, if I were to just start dropping names, it just kind of seems, I don't know, like it seems in a way disrespectful.
Well, you ever think about...
It seems...
Yeah, I understand. But you ever think about just telling stories and not mentioning names? Like being a little bit, no, because if you go into detail about what you did, then people will probably think you're like a floozy or something.
Yeah, but the ironic thing is too, it's like I'm trying to say like it's okay to fuck people in bands or not in bands. Everybody's doing it. It's just when it happens to be somebody in the band, there's some kind of attitude that happens where people kind of give you shit for it extra. Well, especially if you're talking about it. But
if my girlfriend or wife was having sex with guys in bands when they came into town, I'd be pretty pissed off.
Mm-hmm. Like if she was your wife at that time, or like
if my wife or if I had a girlfriend and she was having sex with guys in bands and she was my girlfriend, supposed to be supposed to be true to me, I'd be pissed off. And probably in a fit of rage, I'd say, you fucking groupie.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So do any of your friends who are the dolls, they have boyfriends and they do that and behind their boyfriend's back?
No. No, not the kind of people that I hang out with. Like I really try, and I say this completely honestly and truthfully, like I try to live my life by the 7 sacred teachings, love, respect, truth, honesty, humility, courage, wisdom. I have a code and I abide by that. So, and I would like to have a partner someday. So those 5 guys that I have in a bit of a rotation right now, they've got a little bit of something that I like in every single one of them, but in terms of full package, no, not really. So when it comes time for that full package individual, and then I will be faithful, and that's my word, and I would love that. But it's got to be the right person that's going to make me want to give up the extreme amount of fun and love that I share with different people. And I feel really fortunate to be able to share a part of myself. And it's not just sex, and it's not just, following guys into bathrooms, but sometimes it is. And that's a lot of fun too. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a lot of that back and forth. Like I grow spiritually through one of them, and emotionally, and
And honestly, you're only 28 years old.
Yeah.
So you're way too young to really be worrying about having a husband or anything, right? Anyway, so you might as well enjoy your life.
I am. And that's what these groupies did. And that's what it's all about, is just enjoying your life, having fun, making friends, and making girlfriends out of this. And ultimately, it's groupie at heart is just somebody who loves the music. And I truly, truly love music.
Well, I'm sure that the guys in these bands appreciate the fact that you know so much about the music and all that, rather than just being like the girls on the Sunset Strip, just just because the guy had poofy hair, they went to the bathroom and blew him or whatever.
Yeah. No. And, I'm not going to go and blow a poofy haired guy just because he's in a band. Just because you're in a band, well, so what? Like, there's a lot of people in bands. They've got to have that extra something too. And I know what I'm worth, and I know what I've got to offer. And you can't just be a pretty face. Like, you can't, it's not just, well, you can, depending on like what you want. There's something out there for everybody. But that's not my bag, and it's, for me, it's beauty and brains.
So when did you decide, hey, I'm going to do a podcast about groupies?
This probably in May of last year.
And what gave you the idea about the podcast? Did you always want to be a radio host?
No. So I was back home in my hometown. And do you want to get a little depressing for a second? Should we go there?
I would love to be depressed.
You want to get
so much.
Get a little bit of Bummer Town?
Thank you so much. I was hoping I could be bummed out tonight, but go ahead.
Let's get bummed. All right. So I was back home in April of last year, and I was taking care of my family and my father, who has multiple sclerosis. So if anybody knows anything about that disease, it's like a shit fuck of a disease, and it's not good. It's degenerative. So it pretty much eats away at your like nerve, your nerve linings.
Is your father still with your mom?
They're married. They are married, but my dad is living in an assisted living facility because he requires more care than anybody in our family is able to provide.
And he's only 57?
Yeah, he's 58.
Well, yeah, you bummed me out. Thanks.
Yeah. Right. So he's in a facility that he's easily 20 years younger than everybody there.
Sucks ass.
It sucks ass.
Okay.
So.
Well, I will say a prayer for your dad.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
What is his name? What's your dad's name?
Michael. It's Michelle. Mike.
Dear God. All right, I'll say it in private. Go ahead. Continue the story.
Thank you. So I was really busy putting all of my energy figuring out where he was going to go, like where we could set him up so he's comfortable and happy, and then trying to take care of my mom's health, she was feeling pretty burned out by all of the care that she had to provide for him until everything just sort of collapsed. And then we were going to move him to his new place, and she was going to move out as well. So I was just at home taking care of business. And so what I decided to do in the mornings was just open up my computer and just start writing, because I needed to get some things off, and I just needed needed to dedicate some time to myself. And I started writing just stories, little things here and there, little chapters of things I could remember. And then I realized, hey, a lot of these have to do with the time that I went on tour with this band, or the time in the back of the tour van this happened, or the time that we tried to check into this really seedy motel, but we realized it was one of those places that you just pay for the hour. And I was like, these are kind of funny. And then I started thinking about, well, what do I do with this? Should I just write this and then try to self-publish, or should I make a zine and just like hand out these zines? And then a couple of weeks later, I was back in Toronto. I just came to do some things for myself, go for a massage, decompress, that kind of thing. And one of my guys was in town. And so we were outside on my back deck, and it was a beautiful summer. It was maybe, April, May. It's maybe May at this point. So it was nice enough that we were sitting outside, and we were just sitting on a nice recliner, and he had put on a podcast and we were listening to it. And I thought,
so one of the
there's
guys,
the way.
So one of the guys in the bands that you were with, he says, hey, you want to listen to a podcast?
Actually, this guy wasn't in a band, but he's an artist.
Okay. And he was listening to a podcast. What podcast was it?
It was My Favorite Murder.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Sounds weird, with Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark. And actually, it was because it was a women doing the podcast as well. And it's just like women who are passionate about this one thing. Then the dots connected for me. And I went, I can do a podcast on groupies. And I went, holy shit, there is no podcast on groupies. And then I just researched how to do a podcast for the next couple of months. And
what was
started.
What was the site you went on that told you how to do a podcast? You just Googled how to podcast?
Yeah, essentially. And then I had this brilliant friend, and her name is Lindsay B. And she has worked in music pretty much her whole career. And she's just one of the sexiest, smartest, most intelligent, she knows how to get shit done. And she's never done a podcast, but I was like, will you help me? And she was like, for sure. So we figured out what kind of equipment that you need, and we figured out how to post it, how to get it online, how to get it onto iTunes. And then things started just falling into place really nicely, where I met a girl who was setting up a site to host the podcast, and she does work with the CBC. And
what is the CBC? Canadian Broadcasting Corporation?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
So she's been a little bit of a guide as well, and we're working together.
Doesn't Canada give artist grants?
Yeah.
Did you get an artist grant for your podcast?
No, I haven't applied. I haven't thought about it because it doesn't cost me any money to do it, and it doesn't cost anybody to listen to it, and it's a labor of love. It's something that I just do for fun because I'm genuinely interested in this topic. And that's one thing that I think that you need to know going into a podcast is, if you expect to go into a podcast and make money and do it for a living, then
you have to do a podcast about something that you love and know about.
Yeah.
And not, because a lot of people will start doing podcasts and go, how can I monetize this? And
exactly.
Those are the people who will stop podcasting after probably 5 or 6 episodes.
Yeah.
They're in it for the wrong reasons. And you don't care if you make any money.
No, not at all.
I don't.
Because I am already abundant. I have everything that I need. I look around and, I'm sitting with everything that I want and that I could have ever dreamed of. So if for whatever reason I were to make money off of this, then it would just be a crazy bonus. But I'm not out there trying to look for sponsors and trying to get people to, because I don't really need anything. I don't ask for anything, but I would like people to listen to it because I think that they're genuinely interesting stories. And I think that there's a certain, I love the name of your podcast, The Rock and Roll Geek Show, because as long as I can bypass my immediate group of friends and families and get the podcast out to some people who are geeks for this kind of stuff like me, then that's it. And if people, I have some people tuning in every week going, it's like this ritual that I have now. It's this routine every day this week. And that's success to me. That's a successful podcast.
So
Making these connections with Michelle Overman and with Dee Dee Keel and having them like or share the podcast. Cherry Vanilla shared her episode. That's success to me. My God, what more could I ask?
Did you send her a message and say, "Hey, I did an episode about you," or did she discover it somehow?
I tagged her name in it. Okay. So when I post them on Facebook, I'll tag names, which is maybe how you got hold of it. So it shows me that the tagging is working. But again, I don't want to be bombarding people. I don't want to be aggressive about it, which is the same approach that I take when I meet bands. I go after what I want, but I don't take the aggressive, I'll do anything approach. Right. It's almost like they're lucky to get me too.
I think that's how I
know they feel the same way.
Because I interviewed this guy who wrote a book called Lost Rockers, and she was one of the chapters of the book, Lost Rockers. And I think somehow the guy who wrote the book, I'm friends with him on the Facebook, and somehow it crossed, and that's how I found your podcast. So for people who want to do a podcast, what is the technical, I'm going to get a little bit geeked out here. So how do you do the podcast? Do you just record into a tape recorder and put it into the computer, or you record on the GarageBand, or how do you do it?
So I tried GarageBand, it didn't work. I use Audacity.
Okay, so you record directly into Audacity.
I record directly into this little cute little box here called Audient, and it's called ID14. So I hook my mics up into this, and then this. So
it's kind of like a mixer.
Yeah, it's a tiny little mixer, okay. So I can control the gains on it, and then just from USB going into my computer, and then that way I have two mics, and so then my friends I like to have my friends come over in person, and we get to sit and talk to each other and look each other in the face and record a little episode.
All right, yeah, okay.
And that's how I do it. That's it. Yeah.
So you had to buy a couple of microphones and the little mixer.
Yeah. Oh, so when I said the podcast doesn't cost any money, get yourself a mixer, a couple of mics. But I know I have a friend in Halifax named Trevor Murphy, and he essentially runs the East Coast. He runs music on the East Coast of Canada. He is East Coast music, Trevor Murphy, and he has a show called Halifax is Burning. And I know that he's done episodes where he's just done it into his phone. Or he's had guests do it into their phone, and that works fine too. Sure. But I like to have a nice sound.
If you want to know how I do it, you don't.
I do, yeah.
I have a mixer, and I have a microphone going into the mixer. And if I have somebody in my studio, I have a little studio here that's right next to my bathroom, and it's about the size of a closet, and it's got a bunch of records and whatever. It's filthy. But it's got a bunch of rock posters and stuff. And so I have a microphone. All the microphones go into this mixer. Then I have my computer goes into a channel of the mixer so that I can play music, like I can do like this, so you can hear it. So hey, this is a brand new. Okay, I get the idea. So that goes.
Yeah, sweet.
That goes into the computer. That goes into a channel. I have another channel, a little guitar amp that goes into a channel. So everything goes into the mixer. I don't even use the computer for a podcast. All I use the computer for is to play music from. I just use it like a tape. And then it goes all out from the mixer into a recording device. And then I take the tape from the recording device or the little card, and then I put it on my computer, and then I'd post it. But that's way old school type.
Okay, and then the Skype. How does the Skype call get into the mix of all that?
Skype is going into one of the channels. It's going into the same channel that the iTunes is going in. So you'll be talking, and I'll have music going, and they'll all be going into the one channel. And then everything that's in that mixer goes into this recording device. And I have a little send thing here too, so you can hear the music. So I could turn it down and you wouldn't hear the music, but I have it where you can hear the music. And so if I'm interviewing somebody on Skype, then that's how it works. And also have Skype out. So some people don't have Skype. I can call them on their telephone.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, I've got the Skype, just like you have, as you called it, the Facebook.
That's right. I like to say the. It makes me sound older. I like to do things stupid.
Good.
All right, exactly. All right, so you just posted an episode about Anita Pallenberg. I have not listened to it yet because it just came down like this afternoon or something, right? Anita Pallenberg was Keith Richards. Is he still with her? No, he's with Patty.
No, but they still spend Christmases together with the grandchildren, and they give each other nice smiles. So they were never married. So she was his partner, and they had 3 children together.
I want to hear the one when you have the girl who was with Steven Tyler. Not BB Buell.
Serinda Fox.
Serinda Fox, who is who is no longer with us. She sadly has passed away. But she wrote a book trashing Steven Tyler. Have you read that book?
No.
Yeah, she wrote it. I think you can get that on audiobook.
Okay, cool. I'll do that after I'm done Roxana. So that's fantastic. Yeah, and Lynx is going to tell me the story of Serinda.
Okay, Lynx is,
which is nice.
Lynx has good knowledge. I like her.
Oh, she's got good knowledge. She's gorgeous, and wait until she comes out with her stories.
I don't like when you have I still like the episode, but the guests, when you have the dudes that come on that are in one of the bands, those guys can get lost as far as I'm concerned. But I still like the show.
Yeah, because they're just kind of sitting there going like, oh, yeah, cool, yeah, okay,
Yeah, exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, I know.
Your brother,
I get that.
I do like your brother on the show.
Oh.
But there was one guy I didn't like when he was on the show. The guy bugged me, but I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to piss anybody off. I don't know, because I don't know his name, but.
Yeah, no problem. But that's like the thing about this podcast is that I'm just going to let it grow as it wants to, and I'm not going to be too like it has to be this way. So even Lynx and I are having a lot of ideas to do a lot more things together. So we've recorded an episode about movies about groupies, and we also like she might accompany me on this road trip this summer, and we might start doing things more as a team.
What are some of the movies about groupies besides Almost Famous?
Oh man, she had it was mostly her that came up with the list, and I can't even think of them on the top of my head. Oh man, I can't remember. But that episode should be up in the next couple. We're kind of having it in the bank, like as an in case episode.
A week. Now the first, in case you can't record one a week.
Yeah, because I like putting them out once a week.
The first 4 episodes you can't get. How come? Why? What happened to those?
On iTunes?
Well, I've tried to. Yeah, I guess on iTunes. I can't get the first 4 episodes.
Good question. I don't know either.
I don't think they're on your website either.
They're not on the website?
I don't think so.
They should be like if you go to the Muses and Stuff .ptbopodcasters.ca.
I see him. Yeah.
It's like right at the bottom. Yeah, but in terms of iTunes, I feel like I've been having some problems with iTunes.
You know why? You know why?
I've been having some problems with iTunes. Like,
do you know why you're having problems with iTunes?
No, I don't.
Because Steve Jobs died. All right, that's a little rock and roll geek humor there.
Well, you get a little giggle. Right. But I was showing actually my hairdresser. She wanted to know like how do you look for a podcast? So I was like, give me your iPhone, I'll show you. And I updated like the main picture on it. So originally the picture was a bunch of my girlfriends and I sitting beside a pool, and we did sort of a tribute to that Pink Floyd poster. Right?
I'm gonna interrupt.
Sorry?
I have that poster autographed by the guy who did that poster. What do you think of that?
Oh, sweet! Like that's amazing.
Do you know who did that? That actually is the that poster is from a show, from an art exhibit. You know who that guy is?
No.
His name is Storm Thurgeson. He was an artist for a record company, or not for a record company. He did record covers. And the company was called I'm trying to impress you with my knowledge here, so feel free to be impressed. His company was called Hypnosis, Hipgnosis. They did all of the cool album covers in the 70s. They did Led Zeppelin Presence. They did 1 million album covers. All of Pink Floyd's albums were done by Hypnosis. Anyway, that, and on the back of that was all these Dark Side of the Moon, whatever.
Yeah. Name like Storm Thurgeson. Thurgeson. Oh, that's so sweet. But yeah, that's what the one picture that was originally I had used for the podcast. Right. But then I had done one where I kind of recreated the Damn the Torpedoes album cover. And I like that one a lot. And I feel like, as the podcast is growing, I'd like that one to be sort of the thing that everybody sees, but it hasn't updated in iTunes. And and then, for example, I was showing the podcast to my hairdresser and I was like, well, where are the first 4 episodes? Because I really like the one that I did with Simeon, my friend in England. And I wish that, and it was on Patty Boyd. So I wish that,
you can
people could hear it.
You can thank Steve Jobs dying for that because since Steve Jobs died, Apple has gone down the shitter.
Yeah. But what's up with that? Steve, it's really fucking up my podcast. Speak
to Tim Cook from the Graves, Steve Jobs, please. And tell him to get his head out of his ass. All right.
I will do that.
I was talking to Steve Jobs
I thought you meant like you wanted me to just like send them a little prayer or something like.
No, I was hoping he was listening to the podcast from heaven.
Yeah.
All right. Chanty.
Yes.
How do you say your last name? Savicky?
Chanty Savicky.
Chanty Savicky. The podcast is called Muses and Stuff.
Yeah.
It's a very
should have been called Muses and Groupies, but I didn't have the cojones to call it that at first.
If there was another podcast about groupies, would you have still done a podcast about groupies?
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad.
Just would have done it better.
So, friends, just because I sound like an idiot talking to Chanty Savicky on the Rock and Roll Geek Show, I still suggest you listen to her podcast because I'm not doing it justice with my idiot talk. So, Chanty.
Michael.
Anything else to say?
I appreciate thank you. Thank you for having me. Okay, yes, I will say this one last thing.
Here it comes.
I will tell you all of the names of all of the rock stars I brought into bathrooms.
You're not telling me to go fuck myself.
In just a few years' time. Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, when I go on my road trip this summer, I'm going to stop in, where are you, San Francisco?
Yes.
I'm going to stop in and I'm going to see your weird recording closet.
Okay.
I think, if you'll have me.
Sure, you can come on and be a guest.
Yeah, I'll pop by. I'll pop by for that.
San Francisco's quite a long ways from Los Angeles, just so you know.
That's okay.
And the traffic sucks worse than Los Angeles.
I've got wings. I'm going to use them. Yeah, okay. But it's been a lot of fun doing this podcast. One thing that I was thinking of today before we started recording was I was going back to that first boyfriend that I ever had in my whole life that was in my brother's band. And one of the first dates that we ever went on, he went and tattooed that, the Led Zeppelin, how they have the 4 symbols and they each have one. He went and got Jimmy Page's symbol tattooed on his back.
And that's the guy you were dating.
That was one of the first dates we were ever on. I was 17. He was 19, okay?
Has he covered it up yet?
No, he hasn't, and he's never gotten another tattoo since.
Well, I don't blame him.
If you can imagine, him putting that ink on his body for the rest of his life because he loved Jimmy Page so much. And to be able to say, I'm friends with a woman who sat on that guy's amp, I think that's pretty rock and roll.
That woman being Pamela DeBar.
The one and only.
Okay, well, there you go. All right, Muses and Stuff podcast. Chanty Savicky. Thank you so much for coming on. And thanks for listening, friends. You can
Thank you,
how can we
friends.
find you? Just go ahead and give the plugs, and then I'll give my plugs.
All right, so you can go on iTunes and search Muses and Stuff. Pops right up. Facebook, Muses and Stuff Podcast. Instagram, Muses and Stuff Podcast. And then you can go musesandstuff.ptbo podcasters.ca. So we're the Peterborough Independent Podcasters, kind of a group, and there's a bunch of people in Peterborough, the town that I went to university, and they have some podcasts on there too, and that's growing. And so you can go and check out Aisha Barmania's podcast.
Oh, where do you store your
rest of
audio?
us.
Where do you store the audio files?
It's it's through that it's just through a WordPress
Also,
online.
they host,
so it's pretty
they host your where do you upload the MP3 to?
To the Muses and Stuff PTBO podcasters.
Okay, so they host your files for you for free.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, good. That's very
they're a good bunch.
Well, I unfortunately have to pay somebody to host my podcast. That's why I thank you so much, friends, for your donations, because your donations keep the show alive.
Yeah, you should definitely donate to the Rock and Roll Geek Show. For sure. If you've got to donate it, spread it around.
Without your donations, friends, this show would die a horrible, putrid, stench-filled death.
That's right. And
Steve
all I
Jobs.
ask is
Like
for
Steve Jobs
love,
and
friendship,
iTunes.
and kindness.
What do you ask for?
Love.
Love.
So,
Yes,
love, friendship, kindness. People listen to the podcast. That's it. I mean, if people want to give me money, I'm not going to be like, no, but.
Find Chanty.
That's right.
Chanty, and give her love, friendship, and kindness, and give me your donations. If you don't have to donate, friends, I understand. But with the people who do donate, I really appreciate it, friends. You can find me on the Facebook or on our Geek. You can find me on the Twitter or on our Geek. You can find me on the Instagram, Rock and Roll Geek Don't Ask. And you can find this show at Rock and Roll Geek or rockandrollgeek.com. Send me an email with the subject line, Butler, you are the worst interviewer in the world, and I will never listen to your crappy podcast again, but I will listen to Muses and Stuff. Put that in the subject line at rockandrollgeek@gmail.com. And if you thought this was a good interview, put in the subject line, Butler, that was the best interview I've ever heard. Please keep more of those coming. I cannot wait to listen to Muses and Stuff podcast. Put that in the subject line.
Butler, that's Chanty. She's so cute and smart.
Put that in
Have her on again.
Put that in the subject line, friends. All right. Chanty, I thank you so much for coming on. And
thanks for having me, Michael. It was so worth staying up past my bedtime.
I'm really sorry. Oh, by the way,
I'm gonna go get my.
Tell her you heard her on the
beauty
podcast so she doesn't think she wasted an hour and 26 minutes of her life on this crappy podcast, please. Thank you. I'm sure she would appreciate it. And
I would appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, I hope you didn't waste an hour and 26 minutes.
I absolutely didn't. This is one of the best conversations I've had all day.
All day. It's the only conversation. All right, Chanty, I really appreciate it. All right. Hold on a second. I need to do this thing here because I have these little things that are signatures of my show. So I have to keep talking until this because I'm unprepared for this thing, for this. Okay.
It's a rock and roll geek train wreck.